So do you not use protective gear?
Sometimes I do, not all the time. They're like dogs. If they know you're scared, they're going to attack you.
How many times do you think you've been stung?
Oh, hundreds. Hundreds of times, thousands probably.
So just set the scene for me a little bit. Let's start at the beginning.
Yep.
Where are you? What are you doing?
I'm renting a house in Greymouth. And I got an email from a Mr. Roger Cook, Santander Bank in London. He told me I could receive a loan of $120,000 US. Roger Cook then put me onto a lady called Vivian Tully, who was from California. And she put me onto the big boss, Dr. William Johnson. He was the big chief in Chicago, and he said you'll get $120,000 when you get to India. You'll sign some papers and they'll give you a gift to take back to Perth. As a mark of acceptance that they have agreed to work with you in terms of finance and payment release. He then says, you're going on this flight to São Paulo to India, India to Perth, New Zealand.
The day before he flew overseas, my wife drove him up to Murchison to pick his car up, and he did not mention it to her. Not one word about what he was doing. She said, oh, what are you up to for the next week? He said, oh, just bees.
So went to Christchurch. Customs pulled me over and asked me questions and said, this looks like a scam. Can you please go to the New Zealand Safe website, to the customs website? I said, no, I know what I'm doing, that's it. You mind your own business. What do you think, Costi?
But you didn't listen to them, you didn't feel that they...
No, I didn't.
Why?
Well, I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I get to São Paulo, lost my wallet. Couldn't find it anywhere. And I think, well, what do I got no money, I can't ring the guy up. So I went to the refugee centre at the airport and used their phone to call up William Johnson. He said, I'll send someone or I'll get a taxi for you. Didn't say when. No, I was sitting in São Paulo for 24 hours. 24 hours, no meals, no food, no nothing, that's right. Well, I just think, well, if I can't find them in the next few hours, I was going to completely abandon the whole thing and go home. I was going to change the ticket and everything. Because, of course, that would cost money, of course. I didn't have money at the time. Just thought I'll wait a few more hours, that's all. Eventually, William Johnson called me. He gave me an address. He said, give us one of the taxi drivers and they'll get paid when they get there. So I did. Took me to a house somewhere way in the bloody back sticks of São Paulo somewhere. Pretty rough place, that's right, yeah. And there were two guys there. I spent a day there.
What were you doing in that day?
Just nothing whatsoever, nothing. They wouldn't let me out of the house. I was more or less kidnapped. I think, man, that's right. When I think back now, I think, well, that's right. They wouldn't let me go anywhere.
Sounds a bit scary.
Was scary, don't worry, that's right. Well, here we go. And of course, no one knew I had gone.
You didn't tell anyone?
No, because he didn't want me to. He wanted to keep quiet, He didn't want anyone to know where I was or anything. And one guy gave me a bag and told me to take it to India. And I spoke to Johnson at the time, William Johnson. I said, I want to take my own bag back as well. No, you leave your own bag here and take that bag there back. Straight away, I took the bag into my room and pulled the whole thing apart. Some of the stuff was new clothing, and some was old, some had been used. And I thought, well, no problem, it's another bag. So they paid for the taxi back. I get to the airport, I go to check in to go to India. No, you can't go to India because you haven't got a yellow fever vaccination certificate. Oh, so ring up Johnson. What do we do now? He says, we'll get you a ticket to Perth.
What did you think you were moving?
Well, no, I had no idea. I knew there was something dodgy about it, but I just kept on going with it. That's right.
Why?
I don't know why. Money, I guess. I don't know. Money, I guess. I arrived in Perth, picked the bag up, and then I was intercepted. I was interviewed by the customs at the customs office, at the customs person there, right at the counter. Asked me the reason I went over there, and that's right. I told a lie to him. Oh, I said I was going up to see a friend, and then withdrew the lie.
Why did you lie?
I don't know why. I don't know, because I was pretty scared at the time. I can tell you, I was pretty scared at the time. That's right. Yeah. Then they opened the bag up, and they actually found 2.5 kg of cocaine at 79%.
I was sitting at home one evening watching TV, and the phone rang. It was Roy. He says, "Graham, I'm in trouble. I've been arrested." And I says, "What are you doing over there?" "Oh, I was just doing some business and I got arrested in Perth." I says, "What for?" He says, "Drug smuggling." He says, "It carries life imprisonment. Life imprisonment." And I says, "Mate."
And after I was charged, I was put in prison. It was pretty hard. The first day was pretty hard. I did think I thought, well, I'm dealing with this a fairly big gang. I could be knocked off here. I could be dead.
He was kept in maximum security with some of the most dangerous prisoners. So the police had seized Roy's phones and tablets, things like that, and they just did nothing with it. You know, they just had a guy who'd come in with 2 kilos or more of cocaine in the bag, and for them it was an open and shut case. So I engaged a private investigator who went through all the emails, and from that we could see this pattern. He'd essentially been scammed firstly by a romance scam, and so once the scammers saw that he was easy to trick, we believe information was then on-sold to other more serious scammers, and he just got moved through.
Well, he sold his farm, a nice bit of land, and he got I think it was $290,000 for it. And they cleaned him. They took all that money.
Do you know how much money you've
Lost?
online? Yeah.
Oh, it'd be close to $300,000, $400,000. Yeah. Quite a bit of money. Lost quite a bit of money. But it's only money.
In the end, because he was just being scammed, because he come to me at one stage and says, "Oh, look, I've got this email here from this person sending me a box of stuff." I'm not sure, it was $17,500 or $30,000 he wanted to borrow, because he kept on paying them money from right around the world for custom duties on this box. And he says, "It's sitting in Auckland Airport." And I says, "It's a con." So he rung customs and he come in just devastated. "I've lost all my money." And that was where he was trying to get his money back when he became a drug mule, I'm sure of it.
The scammers will then come in from all sides, with all characters, and offer those people loans. They hit them hard when these victims are at their weakest. In these emails, they normally have a few characters. It could be just one scammer operating the multiple characters, but they were all related back to Nigeria.
She said that all the IP addresses were out of Nigeria. Unbelievable. And yet they said they're Americans.
Did they sound like Americans?
That's right. Had American accents and everything. So you think, well, man alive, that's right, God.
So within a very short period of time, I became concerned about whether or not there was something more going on, which is why I organised a neuropsychological assessment.
She did an evaluation, different numbers and different things, and what this represents and what that represents, and different things. So yeah.
She observed him to have cognitive difficulties, including deficiencies in his executive functioning. So somebody with those sort of impairments can have quite a fixed mindset, and it's very hard to get them to weigh up, all the competing evidence that might suggest that that is not in fact true, because they just can't do that mental functioning.
Once it's in his mind and his mind's made up, it won't change. You really battle to get him to change his mind.
I was in prison for 18 months. I pleaded not guilty all the way through. All the way through I pleaded not guilty.
Were you confident that he would get off?
No. And the jury were out for a long time.
And they took me down to the cells, down to the holding cells, and I had to sit there and wait. That's the longest wait I've had in my life ever, is waiting that 18 hours for that jury to come back. The longest wait in my life ever. And 2 officers came and got me. The judge stands up and asks the foreman what he says. And they said they found me not guilty. And I looked at both those guys and I looked at Sarah, and it's right, and thought, well, thank you. That's all I said. That was it. But boy, it's right. It's right. Experience to go through, I can tell you, man. That's right. Make you different. That's make you very different. That's right.
The biggest risk for Roy is that he could be targeted again. And if he doesn't share with others that these things are happening, he's likely to be scammed and fall for this sort of trick again.
Is he still secretive?
Still secretive. Yep. And I must say, I don't ask him either. It's none of my business. I did tell him if he got himself in the shit again, he's on his own. And hopefully that will... I shouldn't say it. He wouldn't be, but...
Do you still get emails from people?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't get emails at all from people. Well, I do, but I just don't even, when I don't know where they're from, I just don't think. It's right,
Would you be able to show us sometime?
Well, see if I can sometime.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not going to show anyone. No, I'm not going to show anyone, because it's just normal emails. You want so much, that's right, I won't show anyone. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I won't.
I have to ask, Roy, why have you been scammed so many times?
Because I'm a trusting person. I'm a trusting person. That's the reason. If you change your personality, you might as well die, as far as I'm concerned.
Are you spiritual?
No, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. My spirituality is out in the bush. Listen to the birds, everything else, that's it. Yeah. It's being with the bees, that's right. Thank you, bees.